What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. Now, this is the first in a short series of videos that I'm making this spring, which are all about liquid fertilizers, concentrations, and application rates and methods such as hose-in sprayers versus backpack sprayers. Today, as a starter, we're gonna look at granular versus liquid fertilizers and talk about nitrogen rates and what I refer to as pounds on the ground. I often get asked, Alan, what is better, granular or liquid fertilizer? And that's the primary question that I'll be answering today. And so when this video is over, you will know exactly what to expect when you make the choice between one or the other. And at the very end, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid, as a liquid lawn fertilizer. My take on this is quite different than most others that you see on this platform for reasons that you may not even have thought about. Yeehaw! Now I wanted to take one quick second here because since we're going to be talking about liquids today, I wanted to let you know that Yard Mastery is having our bundle bonanza sale where all our bundles, including the build your own liquid bundles, are now discounted an additional 10% off the already deeply discounted bundle prices. Many of you know that we do buy 3 get 1 free quarts all season long. Well, now we've discounted those an additional 10%, so now you can buy 3 quarts at 10% off and still get 1 free. This is by far the best value in liquid fertilizers and biostimulants found anywhere on the internet. And if you have a bigger lawn, the 4 and 5 gallon build-a-boxes are also discounted at 10%. Now this little old sale, it runs all the way through to the end of April, so get out there now. That way you can be spraying and praying here by midweek, just in time for the spring growing season. I'll give you a link below. Now, before we get too far into this, I will let you know that by far granular fertilizers are preferred by homeowners. From my experience, there's 3 reasons for this. Number 1 is granular offers a much lower barrier to entry. All you need is a spreader and you can dump it and go. Of course, you want to look at the spreader setting itself and calibrate your equipment, but let's just be honest, most of you don't do that. You just dump it in, set the spreader, and you go. You're all about the spreading and not feeling the dreading. The second reason is a majority of homeowners are scared of liquid fertilizers. They equate the liquid with a burned lawn, and so they never even attempt it. And third, Scotts is the biggest player in the space, and they control 90% of shelf space in Home Depot, Lowe's, and everyone's dad. They were raised on using the Scotts 4-step plan, which is a granular strategy and includes weed and feeds, making it much easier to fertilize and knock out weeds all at the same time. Now, I'm not here to talk about weed and feeds or cast judgment one way or the other for this video. Instead, I'm just stating the reality of the marketplace as it stands today and as it's stood for the last 50 years. Does this mean that granular products are superior to liquids and it's time for a revolution? Can homeowners actually get over the fear of burning the lawn with liquids? Or should they? Let's go ahead and dig into the details and use some middle school math to prove some points. Now stick with me on this. It's gonna be fun, and if you wanna get green pilled and adopted into this community, you first got to learn to love the math and the confidence that it will unlock for you. Let's look at the amount of nitrogen that you can actually get in a liquid compared to a granular product. Now, in order to do that, we need to understand how much actual nitrogen is going down per 1,000 square feet. And remember, nitrogen drives the bus and is the primary element that I'm going to be speaking about in today's video. So first, let's set a standard. And that standard being that in lawn care, we use 1,000 square foot increments as a standard unit of measurement. Almost every lawn product that you buy, it will tell you how much it covers based on increments of 1,000 square feet. And that is not just fertilizer, it's insecticides, fungicide, all the pesticides too. This Scotts GrubX here, see this? Look, treats 5,000 square feet. Increments of 1,000. And right here, see that? I don't have my glasses, but it tells you how many pounds of this product goes down for every 1,000 square feet. Here's another product from Bio Advanced. You can see right there, 5,000 square feet of coverage. And somewhere on the back here, it'll do the same thing. It'll tell you how many pounds of this product go across each 1,000 square feet. Now, this is a video about fertilizer, so here's Flagship, and you can see right here, 45-pound bag covers 15,000 square feet. You can also go right here, and for spreader settings, it's telling you if you use this spreader setting, you're gonna be putting out 3 pounds of product for every 1,000 square feet. So in reality, what that's telling you is it's your job. I wish I had a cleaner bag, sorry. Put it all out already, but anyway, what that's telling you is it's your job to get 3 pounds of the granulars that are in there, 3 pounds evenly spread across each 1,000 square foot space of your lawn. So let's review. This is a 45-pound bag. Our application rate is 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet, which means that this bag will cover 15,000 square feet. 45 divided by 3 is 15. And here's the liquid in charge. You flip that over, and what do you see right here? 16 to 24 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So with that rate of 16 ounces per 1,000 square feet, we know that this quart, which is 32 ounces, will cover 2,000 square feet. Math is fun, and it's actually the key to understanding when you're looking at a product, well, how much of this do I actually put down on my lawn? That's a big question that homeowners have, so let's go ahead and pause right here for just 1 second. Knowing how much a bag or bottle will cover is great, but you still need another piece of information, and that is your own lawn size or measurement. It's important that before you go out and buy anything or attempt to put anything down, that you measure your lawn so you know how much to buy. When you measure your lawn, you're breaking it down into 1,000 square foot increments by sections, and you're adding it up for a total square footage. The way that you get square footage or area is you multiply length times width. Remember that from 8th grade? Now I've made it really easy for you, especially if your lawn isn't broken up, into perfect squares or rectangles. I have a free app, it's called Yard Mastery, and that has a satellite measuring tool right inside. It'll also help you segment your lawn and measure precisely how many thousand square feet it is. It'll also calculate how much fertilizer you need to buy if you don't like all this math. However, I want you to learn the math because that teaches you the why behind the recommendations. Even if you use my lawn measuring tool in the app, you should still walk off the areas to verify the square footage with actual boots on the ground. Walking your lawn in sections and measuring by hand is the first step to learning your land, and it directly translates into making proper applications. You'll be surprised at how much information your brain picks up when you walk your lawn and visualize applying fertilizer or spraying. It's the first step to gaining confidence to making proper applications. Now listen, I want you to trust me when I tell you that you're going to be an excellent lawn applicator very quickly. And that is mostly due to the fact that you only have one lawn to learn. Lawn professionals, they might be dealing with 300 lawns across multiple neighborhoods of all varied sizes and shapes. But you, as a homeowner, you have one lawn to learn, front, back, and sides, and that's it. It's actually very easy to spread and spray once you've done it a couple times. You'll develop a pattern that you like. You'll understand what it feels like when you hit this point, where my spreader level should be when I hit that point, how the weight of the backpack feels when I'm at this point. Just trust me, it's like your brain just picks up on it. You have intuition, you'll trust your gut, you'll understand, and you'll remember it. I tell you that learning how to treat your own lawn, it's much easier than learning how to ride a bike or even develop a mediocre golf swing. So again, trust me when I tell you, I know you can do this, learn your land. And so now, if you know how big your lawn is, you're able to buy the right size bag or bottle of liquid for your particular situation. Now let's go ahead and make the comparison of granular versus liquid. This bag of Flagship, now when it was full, it was 45 pounds. And we know that the application rate is 3 pounds for every 1,000 square feet. So that means it can cover 15,000 square feet in total. But how much nitrogen actually is that? And how much nitrogen does it take to turn a lawn green and encourage it to get thicker? So you see these numbers here? That's known as the analysis. That stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So these numbers, they're always expressed as percentages. So out of everything that's in this bag, 24% is nitrogen, 0% is phosphorus, and 6% is potassium. And so this is another standard that we use with all fertilizers, liquid or granular. Every fertilizer sold in the US, it will have those 3 numbers listed on the label, and they always represent the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium concentrations in the fertilizer. And remember, those are percentages. And so repetition is the key to learning. So just to reiterate, this Flagship, 24% of everything in this bag is nitrogen. In this quart of 2800 in charge, 28% of this liquid concentrate is nitrogen. But remember, this still needs to be mixed in water. We call that dilution. And in the next video in this series, you're gonna see that's one of the drawbacks we as homeowners have because of limitations in tank size and volume of spray, but more on that in a bit. So now it's time for us to break these down a little bit further. And let's go ahead and determine our actual pounds on the ground of nitrogen. And we're gonna do that by breaking it down into our standard unit of measurement, which is 1,000 square foot increments. If you've watched any of my other videos, or maybe you've gotten some of my guides, or you're in my app or in some of my Facebook groups, you've probably seen me make recommendations just like these. For cool season lawns, apply 3/4 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square foot twice in the spring and twice in the fall to take advantage of your lawn's natural growth nature. Cool season lawns put on roots and top growth naturally in the spring and fall, and fueling them with nitrogen during this time will encourage them to thicken up even more. Or for warm season lawns, I'll say something like this. Be sure to get down 3/4 pound of nitrogen every 4 to 6 weeks during the summer. When I say get down 3/4 pound of nitrogen, that means get down 3/4 pounds of nitrogen for each 1,000 square foot of lawn area. Once again, this recommendation is coming because it's when warm season turf like Bermuda, Zoysia, St. Augustine, Cinnamomede, and Bahia grass, that's when they're putting the most energy into rhizomes and stolons, which are called runners, which move across the ground and choke out weeds and fill in thin spots. Nitrogen fuels those long, thick runners, and we're applying higher amounts of nitrogen, 3/4 pound per 1,000, during the summer, which is when it naturally wants to do that anyway. Again, we're using the nitrogen to fuel it. Now, I've been working with homeowners for over 17 years now, and in my experience, 3/4 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet In your grass's natural growth push or natural growth time, that is ideal to turn your grass green while also encouraging it to get thicker. Additionally, I utilize technology such as polymer coating or sulfur coating on the nitrogen pellets to extend the release of nitrogen over 40 to 45 days. 3/4 pounds of nitrogen trickled out consistently over a 45-day period is just the right amount to encourage any lawn of any grass type to thicken up without surging growth. Remember, a green, thick lawn is the end goal of all of my programs. In fact, I rarely find a need to apply more than 3/4 pounds per thousand in a single application. You certainly can apply more, but from my experience, the grass, it can only use so much at one time anyway. So no need to cram it all in like some sort of miracle dose. If you apply too much, then the grass, it just can't use it, and it can be lost to leaching or volatilization. Just think of it like if it were you eat 3 meals a day, your body can handle those spaced out meals, like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a lot easier than if you just tried to cram it into one big old mukbang session right before you went to bed at night. You're definitely gonna have problems if you do that, and a lot of it, it'll just come out your ass end lost to the Milorganite pile. Lawns, they feel the same way. They like a trickle feeding, so spread out the nitrogen over the entire season in smaller doses that are time release and controlled. Okay, so now you know that 3/4 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet is the perfect dosage. Let's find out how much we get if we apply Flagship versus applying 2800 in charge. Now you can figure that out in a couple different ways, but the way I always do it is I just take the application rate, which in this product is 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet, and then I multiply that by 24%. Remember, for Granular Flagship, my job is to get 3 pounds of Flagship spread evenly across each 1,000 square foot of lawn area. If 24% of this bag is nitrogen, then I can take 3 and multiply that by 24%, and I come up with 0.72. To make it easy, I'm gonna round that up to 0.75 or 3/4. So remember back in 8th grade math when you learned to convert decimals into fractions? 0.25 is 1/4. 0.5 is 1/2, 0.75 is 3/4, that's the magic number for us, and 1 is 4/4. So this Flagship fertilizer, it will deliver 3/4 pound of nitrogen to each 1,000 square foot of lawn area when you apply it at the recommended bag rate of 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Now, if you're confused right now, go back to the previous section again and pause it when the math comes on the screen. If you study this just a little bit, it's gonna click for you, and once it does, you'll be calculating nitrogen pounds on the ground in your head all the time. You'll be at Home Depot or Lowe's, and you'll see people puzzled about what they're looking like on the shelves, and you'll go up, you'll look at the analysis real quick, and you'll tell them, hey, that puts down this much nitrogen, that puts down that much nitrogen, that's enough, that'll turn it green. You'll see yourself start doing that, and that's when this really becomes fun. Okay, so now let's look at in charge, because with liquids, the math is slightly more complicated. And just so you know, I chose in charge for this video because this is the highest nitrogen concentration liquid that we sell. That doesn't make it dangerous. It's not gonna burn the lawn, just follow the label. But the reason is I chose this one because once again, nitrogen drives the bus, and so I wanted you to see a comparison of a granular with the top nitrogen product that we carry. 28% is actually very near the top end of what is practical and achievable in a liquid concentrate. You'll be hard pressed to find a liquid product available to homeowners that's over 32%. Most come in somewhere around 20 to 25, and again, 2800 in charge is very near the top of what you're gonna be able to find. That said, let's next look at how to calculate nitrogen pounds on the ground with this liquid. Now for liquids, you've seen that I've been talking in terms of volume. In this case, the volume of this little jug is 1 quart or 32 ounces. But in order to understand the nitrogen pounds on the ground, I need to know the weight of that volume. And so for every liquid fertilizer product that you buy, somewhere on the label will be the weight of the product that's inside of it. You can see right here on the in charge, this 32 ounce quart, it weighs 2.6 pounds. Now what we need to do is find out how much does each ounce weigh. We take 2.6 pounds divided by 32 ounces, and we come out with 0.081 pounds. Each ounce of in charge weighs 0.081 pounds. So every ounce of in charge is 0.081 pounds. Next, we need to know how much of this are we going to apply for each 1,000 square foot of lawn area. Remember, we always talk about lawns in increments of 1,000 square feet, and for in charge, the rate that we're gonna use with the backpack sprayer is 16 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So what that means is that my job is to get 16 ounces of this liquid concentrate evenly sprayed across each 1,000 square foot area. Now you can't do that. There's not enough here. There's no way you could do that. That's why we have to mix it in water. That's when dilution motion comes in. That gives you time because you have to walk and spray. Again, those are all things we're gonna cover in some of the next videos. But for right now, we know that 16 ounces of this product goes across each 1,000 square feet and that each ounce weighs 0.081 pounds. And since I know that, now I can do a little bit of math and figure out my nitrogen pounds on the ground. I take 16 ounces times 0.08 and that gives me 1.28 pounds. So when I make my application, I'll be putting out 1.28 pounds of in-charge. Since this is a 28% nitrogen product, then I can take 1.28 pounds times 28% and know that there's going to be 0.36 pounds of nitrogen going down across each 1,000 square foot of lawn area. So let's review quickly. Every ounce weighs 0.08 pounds. Every ounce is 28% nitrogen. I'm spraying out 16 ounces per 1,000 square feet. 16 times 0.08 times 0.28 is 0.36. 0.36 pounds of nitrogen will go across each 1,000 square foot of lawn space. So looking at decimals versus fractions, 0.33 is 1/3. This is 0.36. So just to keep things easy, we're gonna say that when you apply an application of in-charge at 16 ounces per 1,000, it's gonna deliver 1/3 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. I'm excited that you're starting to understand this because you're gonna get a lot more out of it when I start talking and teaching in other ways. But if this math, if it's confusing to you, just please go back, pause the screen, look at it. I promise you, you're gonna pick it up at some point, and when you do, it'll all click for you. So the granular gets me down 3/4 pound of nitrogen and the liquid gets me down a little bit over 1/3 of a pound of nitrogen. Clearly the granular is superior if we're just looking only at the nitrogen pounds on the ground. And the granular also has a technology built in to trickle out that nitrogen over 45 days. And that's the primary reason that granular is superior to liquid, at least in this case. Just so you know, it is possible to get more nitrogen out via a liquid, and we'll look into that in a little deeper dive in the next video. But for now, just using this simple comparison of basic labeled rates, the granular delivers a much bigger pop of nitrogen overall and for longer. However, there are some advantages to liquid, and that comes in the speed of the visual result. You see, because it's a liquid, it's already broken down into its smallest form already, and this particular product has nitrate nitrogen that is immediately available to the plant and can in fact absorb directly into the grass blades to deliver results in just a few hours. The granular can't do that. It first needs to be activated by water, in other words, dissolved by water into the soil, and then secondly, microbes in the soil, they need to convert the urea into a form that is usable by the plants, and that can take some time, usually 3 to 5 days, just depending on how warm and moist the soil is, along with the number of microbes that are actually in the soil. And that goes into the importance of adding natural or organic compounds to your soil, like humic, or using natural or organic fertilizers here and there. So one thing I want to add is that in-charge, it has that nitrate nitrogen that pops the lawn green in hours, like I mentioned, but it also contains stabilized urea that is broken down by those same microbes. Therefore, it will trickle out green color from that nitrogen over a week or two as well. It's not like the in-charge, it greens up the lawn one day and then it fades the next. The stabilized urea will slow release over a couple weeks to extend the green color, but just keep in mind that we're limited to just that 0.35 pounds or 1/3 pound of nitrogen in total, whereas the granular version, we get 3/4 pounds. So while you do get some slow release sustained greening with the liquid, there just isn't enough overall nitrogen available to last as long as what the Flagship granular does. Now, real quick, one other advantage to liquid fertilizers comes in their flexibility to add other products into the tank along with them that can make more efficient use of your time. As a homeowner, you can save time by mixing in other products. I have a full video that I just did this year that tells you all about that. What can you mix in the tank together? What can you put down on the same day? That kind of stuff. I'll link it right up there in the eye for you. All right, y'all. So that's everything I had wanted to cover just in this first video here when it comes to liquid fertilizer. So I hope this has been super helpful to you. All right, y'all, so now let's just talk about DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid. Some of my fellow YouTubers, they've discovered that making videos about DEF and spraying it on the lawn, it can get you a lot of views. George over at Princess Cut Lawns, for example, he did one a while ago that now has 1.3 million views. And Jesse from Lawn Life, he also has a banger, 925,000. These are super impressive numbers, and I understand why they made those videos. They deliver really good information that people want to know about, and let's face it, the concept is unique. Using an automotive product in the lawn, it gives you that real Jerry Baker feel, and so it has excellent click-through rate. However, I'm dead set against it. And I want to make clear, I'm not hating the player here, I'm actually hating on the game. YouTube rewards provocative content, and as I mentioned, this subject has elements of virality that the algorithm loves to reward. And it is true that diesel exhaust fluid, it's just urea, nitrogen, and deionized water for the most part. When you do the same math that we just did above, you'll find that DEF is 15% nitrogen. So if it was gonna be a fertilizer, it's not, but if it was gonna be, it would be a 15-00. That'd be the analysis. However, some manufacturers, they do include trace amounts of additives, maybe to further stabilize the solution or give it longevity, and you just never know what that's gonna do to your turf grass if you spray it on there. Additionally, you never know when standards of DEF might change. Diesel exhaust fluid, it might be, there is a standard that says this is what diesel exhaust fluid has to be right now, but you never know when that's gonna change. Something new comes out, something different, they find something more efficient, who knows, and they change the formulation in DEF. Well, now those videos that are already out there, they're saying it's safe, and the formulation changed, right? And nobody knows that because you're not following the automotive industry and DEF as it relates to lawn care. That's why when you use a product that is a lawn care specific product, it's been labeled and approved to be used in lawns, you know that if you're using it, it's still safe to be used in lawns. DEF, on the other hand, it doesn't have any labeling like that, so you just won't know if things change. And so what I'm getting at here is my real concern with spraying DEF on your lawn is what is called off-label application. Using DEF on your lawn, that's an off-label application. When products like diesel exhaust fluid start getting used for off-label applications in lawns and videos go viral over it, you're just inviting the government to come in and put more regulations in place to stop it. I mean, do you like government overreach? I know I sure don't. I personally think that these off-label videos, they could invite that. What if someone at the EPA gets wind of this and decides to start requiring proof of ID with DEF purchases? So now when you go buy a gallon for your truck, you have to bring the clerk outside and prove to them that you have a diesel, or maybe you have to get some stamp on your driver's license and they take down your driver's license information every time you buy a gallon of DEF. Is that the kind of thing that you want to be dealing with? That exactly could happen. It happens all the time when it comes to medicines. Just think about it. You can't buy like cold medicine or sinus medicine over the counter anymore because people were taking it and turning it into meth and drugs and getting high on it. So what did they do? They just made it so now you have to go to the pharmacy and give your ID in order to get simple cold medicine. And I really feel like the same thing could happen with DEF. So I don't drive a diesel, so it's not going to affect me, but it is going to affect any of you that have to deal with a diesel engine. So I'm good with it on that front, but I just ask that those of you that spread this in other forums, I want you to consider the ramifications and the broader picture and just be a little bit more discreet about it going forward. So that's all I got for you today, guys. Subscribe here, and in the next one, we're going to take a literal deeper dive into the liquids, and we're going to look at delivery methods and how those can offer flexibility in your applications. I'll see you in the lawn.